What is up, bros? Me, Josh here. In today's video, I'm going over an awesome gearing game I had the other day. Probably one of my highest damage gearing games that I've had to date so far. And this is a line that I had loved for a long time, still love it, but really haven't been playing as much as I had previously. Now, with the USN DD line, it was one of my favorite lines. It's probably still one of my favorite lines to play. But in the recent few months, I've really fallen in love with the German DD line, which has kind of taken the USN DD line and put them on kind of the back burner because I think the high tier German, I think that the German DD line is pretty mediocre when it comes to about tier 8 and under. Some of the low tiers are really good as kind of trolling seal clubbers. But I think maybe the middle 5 tiers of that, like from 4 to 8, I think is subpar to I don't enjoy. I just don't enjoy that part. But tier 9 and tier 10 and the Z46 and the Z52, I absolutely love. Absolutely love. And this is the reason why I had kind of not been playing the USN line as much. But with the latest stage of the Yamamoto campaign, really I had kind of started playing these again because they can bring the AA consumable and kind of be a pest for CVs. And I wouldn't say they're almost impossible to drop on, but they're really tough to drop on, and are kind of more of a pain than, let's say, the German DDs that are a bit more sluggish with their turning, not quite as agile and all that kind of stuff. So really getting back into these with the more CVs that have been in queues, basically, at least on the North American server. And but of course in this game you don't get one, but regardless the gearing is still a beast, and it's one of the better anti-DDs. This line is one of the better anti-DDs out there for its kind of the role it plays as being such a good anti-DD. But really, I have loved the German DDs a lot. I've been playing them a lot. The Z46, Z52. That's really taken into the Fletcher and the gearing, which I used to play a lot more. Of course, the USN is insanely good with its smoke and everything like that, but just have been really enjoying the other DDs. So in this game, it is me, a Zhao, and a Kerfus in our division, and a pretty balanced out teams, honestly. And their side has a Girion, a Cab, and a Yugumo. So I knew if I went against the Girion, I'd probably be okay. And if I went against the Yugumo, of course I'd be okay. He'd outspot me, but we would have some trouble against the Kabarovs. So luckily, their Kabarovs got really aggressive. I think over time, people have found out that the Kabarovs is insanely good, and a lot of people that don't quite know how to play it, you know, they imagine that this ship is kind of invincible with its heal, and of course it is. Well, of course it is. Of course it's very strong with its heal, but it's not invincible. So a cab pushing into right on B cap, completely focused with potentially a whole bunch of ships focusing on it, as well as a taking a tort from Mishima, you're not going to do very well. So I kind of held my shot for a little while here because I knew that the Chappie, if you can see it right here on the mini-map, was right there. So I didn't really want to go for it, but now I knew I had that island in between us, and so I was like, okay, time to open up on this cab and hopefully take him out and do a bunch of damage. So that first torp salvo right there, I remember my Zhao was like, yeah, that dude does not have a repair, so if you hit him, then you're gonna get flooding. And not only did we hit him once, not only did we hit him twice, we hit him 5 times. I think it was the Turpits and the Norca. I think we got some damage in on, and raced for impact on this Chappie. But yeah, that cab played it perfectly wrong, which is awesome. The Chappie didn't put any damage in on me, and that NorCal is actually going to get absolute beast. We're already up to 80k, and down the cab goes, which is amazing. That was going to be one of the problem childs, and down goes the Norca, I think. So he started to heal through it. There we go. So we got that devastating strike slowly but surely, and we kind of dunked it down. I just realized that I knew one of the players in this game that I didn't realize at first. But that puts us in a really big advantage. We took out one of their battleships. We took out the cab. I mean, we lost the Neptune and a Chappie, which is never good. But we took out their cab, which is obviously one of the strongest, if not the strongest ships, probably in this game. I mean, the Des Moines and the Hindenburg are both really good. But the cab is just going to be an absolute beast, and as long as that division over there kind of just stays over there, as you can see they're over on C cap right now, we can kind of focus on other ships, and I'm pretty sure I could beat the Gearing 1v1, and the Yugumo would be no problem, but I kind of know where the Yugumo is, so don't really need to worry about it. And they had a bunch of like kind of weakish cruisers here. that wouldn't be that big of a deal, especially with the Zhao and the GK that are in my div. So as long as I just kind of put pressure on these guys, got good torps out, laid good smokes, and just was a good anti-DD, I figured we'd be all right. As well as the team, as long as the team got some decent trades. So mainly it was focusing that Chappie, taking down the Yamato, so our Zhao was relatively safe, and then we can just kind of work on everything else. Like the Hindenburg, taking that Hindenburg out is amazing, but that Yamato's also sitting broadside, so a lot of good targets, and we're in a really good spot too, because we just took out the cab and we took out 2 of their battleships. I mean, even though they're bottom tier battleships, there's still, I mean, a battleship can still absolutely dunk on you. A NorCal can absolutely dunk on a Yamato still, and this is something that I find very difficult to master, and I don't really like doing, but I know that he had a fire on him, so I figure it was worth a try to potentially get a and look here, we found the gearing. So this is kind of best case scenario for us. He opened up on the Shima, so that means we only need, he could just kind of focus on us, and there's the AP salvo. So yeah, nice little 3600. There's another almost 3500, so pretty insane damage. Our Shima just kind of, I've been seeing a lot of Shima players like that now too, where they just kind of go and die and don't really play the Shima correctly. But we pumped out some good damage on that game. I'm still full life, which is really good, and we were able to pump out a decent amount of damage. Our Shima's very low, so you can't really do too much, but as long as he gets a torp on something, he's probably worth it, because then that just leaves the Yugumo, and we're kind of pushing the rest of their ships into that one corner. So I figured I want to put a torp on that Yamato, because if he does take it, he's most likely going to flood for a while. And I think luckily, I did get flooding right there. So we're already over 100k. I mean, the 80k on that first one. See, right here is where I think the German DD would have been better, because I could have just sonared and probably killed him in smoke, and then kind of just finished off the game. So since I knew the Chappie wasn't there, I didn't want to push the smoke. I didn't know where the torps were. So that's another situation where the German DD would have been better, but still, we're full life in a gearing, and there's a gearing that has like 4k life. As long as I don't take a torp, which would have been very brutal here. I think I torp beat this. I know I was a little scared. I take 1. Okay, so yeah, got kind of unlucky on that one. It was really close. I wasn't exactly sure if I torped him. So there's another one. We had a ton of flooding damage this game. And that's the best part when you have a good synergy with, let's say, like a Zhao, Moskva, Hindenburg, any kind of cruiser high tier, and you can kind of just work on it. So I got pretty lucky. That torp actually rolled pretty low. It only did about 10k damage. So yeah, actually did pretty lucky to have that, and of course didn't get detonated. So, but really, just kind of focusing it. The rest of their team, they lost the Yamato. They lost basically all but one of their battleships, and the other battleship in here is just kind of chilling there in the middle. So really, one thing I have to worry about is the Des Moines, the Chappie, and then looking out for torps, honestly. And as you can see, the whole little clump right there is looking pretty juicy for a bunch of that. So as long as we take out the Hindenburg and kind of work on stuff, we can just kind of push them into this death trap that is C. And as long as the Shima just stays at like max range and just torps, he's going to be very effective, because they're going to be stuck in these little channels and they're not going to be able to do anything besides just hopefully take our torps. But these radar ships are the problem for me, radar slash sonar potentially, and that was the one thing I was kind of worried about. I mean, already we're at 140k. We got assisted base cap, solo base cap, and 2 kills already, so that's pretty freaking good. There's the Yuguma right there, so it's always good to kind of get a knowledge and keep an idea of where those are. Where all the DDs are, because you want to be looking out for torps. So but Yorkie and the Des Moines is pushing up, so we figured it'd be all right. The Otago was about to die right there, and oh, we actually lived on that one. It's kind of brutal. But we have the Yamato, and this is the other guy. I mean, if we take out their battleship core, we're kind of good. And I really kind of want to find this gearing. So of course, I think he's south right now, because I think that's a smoke. Actually, that's the Kutuzov smoke. So I was trying to figure out exactly where he wanted to go. So I kind of launched the torps on potentially hitting the Kutuzov, as well as the Hindenburg, as well as the Yamato. So I kind of threw them. I didn't really follow the gray line perfectly. I was thinking, hey, if I snag a torp on one of these guys, it's going to be worth. And that's what I was really just kind of hoping for, is to get one of those guys. Because any of my torps, I mean, the Yamato is going to be awesome. It's going to damn near kill the Kuta. And of course, we get robbed here by planes. But I think we still get, I don't know if we exactly get a torp hit here. And I was debating going back and getting my my battleship with smoke. But then I figured I could set up here, one, potentially bait out the gearing on a push here, and then just start pumping out some damage on this, not only the Kutuzov, maybe potentially finish him off. Of course, the Yamato Torp beats because of those freaking planes. But I could really start pumping out damage on this Yamato, and this is the strength of not only just the gearing, but really like any DD that has a high rate of fire like this. And so what we're doing is, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have repair. I think that was the consensus with the div, and so he's running fire prevention. So the middle two are all kind of joined, and so look at when he turns broadside. Look at this damage that the gearing can do. And it could be more as a German DD. I mean, look at this absolute nasty damage. I mean, I have a reload of, what, 3 seconds? Right at 3 seconds. And I'm ripping 3K, 2K salvos on a Yamato, kind of the upper armor belt superstructure. I mean, you're not going to live too much. I think we farmed, I don't know how much damage we just farmed off that guy with just our guns. I mean, how are you supposed to live through that? But 172K, almost 173K. And this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted one of the destroyers to get greedy and push that smoke. And luckily it was the Gumo, which I knew I would actually stop. He was coming in for kind of a YOLO Torp, so I just had to be a little careful here. Thought about going Torps, but it didn't matter. There it is. There's the win. So here's the post-game stats, guys. Pretty freaking nasty. 179K. We'll take a 4 kill. Not quite a Kraken, but my God, look at like our base XP, almost 2,500. Pretty freaking nasty. And yeah, actually did really well in the game. Still love the USND line. I still have the German line, but I feel like the USDD line is a bit stronger when there are more CVs and Qs, just because you have the ability to defend yourself and even defend your division mate. Because although you're not going to be shooting on a million planes unless you're kind of spec'd for it, you can. For a long time, I kind of ran the Troll Fletcher build of having about 70 some AA rating, so your AA was actually pretty solid. You're not going to shoot down a ton of planes, but you are going to potentially save a battleship, save a cruiser, save a destroyer by just spreading out those planes and being a kind of pain in the ass to drop on, because the higher tiers take so long to get planes out. You can almost, I wouldn't say you're almost invincible to get dropped on if you kind of know what you're doing in dodging torps, but if you have that extra thing, it could potentially save your life. So it is definitely worth running. It's way worth it over speed boost on the Fletcher and gearing. So if you guys haven't started running, I would be sure to switch it up. It's definitely worth and can potentially save your life, a division, a mate's life, or just a teammate's life in general. And then you can absolutely annoy the CVs, which is fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this game. The gearing doing its work, doing its job, and absolutely destroying. Remember, like and subscribe, guys, and I will see you guys next time.